tour across America. And you're going to find out about Steve Young here. Steve, thanks for coming in. Let me set this up. This is Brett Robinson over here. Brett and Katie Robinson are local residents. I get a text this morning from Brett that says, "Hey Greg, I got an opportunity for you." So, okay, call Brett, find out what's going on. And Brett, I'm going to let you take it from there.
We decided we wanted to take a trip to the farmer's market at Richard's Farm Stand right up the road from me. And we, on the way, passed a man walking and didn't really think much about it at that time. And then on our way back through, we noticed his sign. What's your sign say this time?
Jesus lives.
Jesus lives. And that caught my wife's eye, and she said, "Wonder what he's up to." And then I said the same thing. I said, "I'm also wondering what he's up to." And then we pulled back into our house, and I said, something came over me, and I said, "I'm going to offer that man water." And so we stood there for a little bit waiting, and she was on call for work last night, and so she had to go in and start making her lunch. Well, then he never showed up, and we kind of let go of that opportunity, and we thought that maybe he went over to St. Mary's, and then about 30 minutes later, I had started weed eating at that time, and I got all the way around my house, and I ran out of the weed eater string, and I happened to look up, and there he was, almost about to pass our driveway. And so I set my weed eater down and ran in and got her, and she met me out there, and we took him water, and it took me 3 times to get him to answer. And he finally came, and he started having a conversation with us, and he wanted to pitch a tent. So I said, "Well, the whole field's yours. You can pick a spot anywhere you want." And we got to talking for probably an hour or 2 in the field.
Yeah.
And he let me carry his 80-pound backpack.
Oh, he lets you carry that.
And
It's nice of him.
I carried it from the driveway to the backside of the property, and I was out of breath.
Yeah.
And so a lot of respect there.
Yeah, so let me tell you why that's amazing. Brett said he was out of breath carrying an 80-pound backpack, a few feet, a little bit. Steve Young walks across America with that backpack. And you ever wonder, if I had $1 for every time I see somebody and I said, "Wonder what his story is." Exactly what you did, right, Brett?
Exactly.
Just wonder what his story is. You know there's a story. And this is a good one. So I think we've talked enough, or I have. Let's find out from Steve Young what he's doing. What are you doing in our little town, Steve? And what's your mission?
Well, I'm actually walking across America. I'm walking for a sick and terminally ill children's camp that is based in North Carolina. And it's a camp that is owned and operated by the Petty family of NASCAR fame, Richard Petty and Kyle Petty. And it's in honor of Kyle's son, Adam. It was his idea for this camp. In 2000, Adam was just starting his racing career, and he was winning everything he was sitting in. Kind of reminded everybody of Grandpa, Richard. And they went to New Hampshire back then was the sponsor was a Busch beer sponsorship for the series. But anyway, he went out to do some practice laps, and going into turn 3, the throttle stuck, and he hit the turn 3 wall straight on at 130 miles an hour and died instantly. And there were a series of accidents that were happening back then that took quite a few of the drivers that were in the top 3 series, and he was one of those accidents. And what happened to him, of course, devastated the NASCAR world, and of course his parents, had to deal with losing him. But it was his idea for this camp, and they decided to carry on his wishes, his dream, and got this camp built and opened in 2004 in honor of him. And it's just a wonderful camp where these kids can go and get away from doctors, hospitals, and just be kids for a change.
Mm-hmm. But how did you get involved in this? What is your interest in this camp?
Well, I grew up with a girl with birth defects. Mom's in the 50s and up until I think it was 62 was taking thalidomide for morning sickness. And they were turning out birth defect babies. And when they realized what this drug was doing, they shut it down. And Lori Ford, a girl that me and my sister grew up with, was one of those babies. She was born in 57, but she had a tiny little bit of a thumb and a tiny little bit of a pinky, no middle fingers, and feet, very small feet, no toes. And we just grew up with her, starting in elementary school. And I'll share a little story in reference to elementary school and her. You know how kids can be, picking on somebody that they see that they can take advantage of, especially with what she was dealing with these birth defects. And she wouldn't yell, and if we were around, we would want to stick up for her. She wouldn't yell at the kids that were picking on her. She'd yell at us for trying to stick up for her. And with not a quiet voice, a very loud voice, she would yell at us, "Back off!" all hands, very loud. You could probably, the echo from her voice in the halls of the school, you could probably hear her all over the school. But she'd yell at us because she wanted to live her life as normal as possible. And that's what she did. There was no backing down from her, no shying away from adversity. She was just a very big inspiration for what I'm doing today. Growing up with her has just stayed in the back of my mind all these years since. Not pat myself on the back, but maybe if I see a child in a wheelchair in a fast food restaurant, instead of talking down to them, I get on my hands and knees, eye level, and talk. So when I heard about the camp, way before it was even started, they started talking about the camp early on and what they were wanting to do. In 99, Kyle and Adam were on motorcycles coming back from Daytona, and they come across a camp in Central Florida called Boggy Creek. And so they stopped and took a look at what this camp was all about. And the story goes, driving away, Adam goes, "Why can't we do something like this up in our neck of the woods?" So that camp came about. After losing Adam, they decided to do that. And from 2004, and this is an old number because I haven't taken a look at the camp website quite a while, over 136,000 children have come to this camp totally free of their families. So I just thought, that was an amazing young man. I share this kind of a anecdote. I play video games, sports related. I don't spend all day sitting in front of the TV playing them, but I can't imagine where Adam ever sat down in front of a TV playing video games. When he was 9, 10, 11, he'd ask mom and dad to take him to hospitals, to pediatric wards. And that carried over to going into his teens, and then going to a racetrack in a different city each weekend. He'd take time off and go to the hospital, to pediatric wards, to spend time with these kids. So that's the type of young man he was. And for me, it was just like a prompting from the Holy Spirit, bringing out my front door. I made it here.
Are the Pennies aware?
Yeah. I took a tour of the camp. A gentleman named Mark Schumacher gave me a tour of the camp, and I seen most of all 84 acres of the camp. It's a race theme, as you can imagine, and you go into what they call the bunk rooms, and they have beds lined up for the kids to sleep in, and the clothes, the drawers, that they put your clothes in. You ever see the toolboxes? The top box and the bottom ones have these little skinny drawers. that's where the clothes go in. They got that bottom box for each, so the kids can put their clothes away when they're there. And but it's all race themed. But there's so many things for those kids to do. I often talk about that things that they like to do, things that they are able to do. Some of the kids that go are in wheelchairs. There's a printout I'll show you, give you an idea what this is all about. But things that maybe even they never thought they would do, they can do. Archery, zip line, riding horses, pool games, swimming, just all kinds of things for them to do. And they go and just go have fun.
So your mission is to raise awareness for that camp. So you walk across America and raise awareness how? By doing things like this? By stopping in and just talking about it? Tell me about how you are most effective at raising awareness.
Well, that is exactly, I really appreciate when somebody will give me the time through either a newspaper interview or a radio interview or a TV interview, which I've done all three mediums, to share about the camp. And that is the biggest, easiest way to reach more people. I hand out a printout, several thousand of them, that will kind of give you the information that you want. A way of sending donations. I do not take donations directly for the camp. It's strictly through awareness. And that's talking about going to the camp and seeing the camp, meeting everybody in the administration office. I got the chance to meet the Petties. So I was sharing this with them, and I even showed them a YouTube interview I did. But I took a tour of the camp, met everybody in the administration office. I first walked in the front door of the administration office, and Kyle Petty's remaining older son, Austin, is there. And he's Brett's size, big guy. And he gave me a big old bear hug, and my feet were off the ground a couple inches. He was just so happy to meet me. But then a lady named Kathy Davis said, "Steve, you want to go see," and we grew up Petty fans, Richard Petty fans. "You want to go see Richard Petty's museum?" Yeah. So we jump in an all pink F-Ford 350 truck that at the time when it was given to the camp, a 16, and she's made news now because she's dating a Kansas City Chiefs tight end.
Oh.
But a 16-year-old Taylor Swift gave them the truck, and it has her name on it, and it has love, and it has scripture, and then the camp put their camp logo on the doors. That's what we went over to the museum in. And I thought I was just going to see the museum and get there. And they were supposed to be in Daytona, but Richard was standing there, Kyle, and Dale Inman, who is Richard's first cousin, and was the crew chief on his car all the years he raced. They were standing there waiting for me. And I got out and I made sure I stood right beside Richard Petty. But I talked to him about how I wanted to do this walk, as I was sharing with everybody at the office back at the camp, that I didn't want to touch any money that goes to this camp. I carry a 5-foot walking stick along with my 80-pound backpack. And I thought, well, if somebody hits me over the head with my own walking stick or pulls a gun, whatever it might be, takes my backpack, and maybe I had cash and checks and whatever for the camp, all that would be gone. So I decided I wanted to do it the way I did it. And doing the interviews, and thank you for that,
You're welcome.
is the easiest way to bring awareness to the camp.
So it's one thing to bring awareness, but whenever you bring awareness, what can we do? You talked about donations. There's a way to donate, I'm sure, that
Yes.
you get out there at each stop. How is that?
Okay, so there's a physical mailing address and a camp website for anybody who want to send and who sees this. VictoryJunction.org is the camp website, and you'll see all kinds of things that you can look at even where the money that is brought in is used, it's $2,500 per child to come to this camp, and it's totally free to their families. And up to 7 members of the family can come. They are there at the camp. I often talk about this, and his fathers too, but I always use moms. But say little Johnny wants to go to the camp. He's able to go to the camp. 6-year-old to 16, but little Johnny wants to go to the camp, and mom goes, he's not going anywhere without me. Well, this camp provides up to 7 members of the family that can go to this camp, and they have cabins that they can stay at. And when there's able to spend that time with the child there at the camp, kind of interesting. I was in Rutledge, Tennessee, and the police department said go to the Baptist Association offices down the street, and I met a lady named Lisa. And she made a phone call to Pastor Scott Howerton at this Sunrise Baptist Church a few miles down the road, and called him and says, I got somebody that wants to set a tent up and go to, it was a Wednesday night. He wants to go to a Bible study tonight. Do you have a place for him? Yeah, get him down here. The reason I'm sharing all this, a gentleman named Billy who works at the office with Lisa got me to the church, but more importantly, his son is 24 now. His name is Josh. But when he was 7 years old, he had leukemia. They went to that camp, Victory Junction, 3 times. So he was like, I cannot believe you're in my truck. And I'm able to share that we were able to take our son to that camp, and he loved that camp. So that made me feel good that I actually had met somebody that had gone to that camp and taken advantage of all the great things he was able to experience there. So I really, that was something special for me.
Okay. So victoryjunction.org, that's where you can go. You can find out how to donate if you'd like, but find out more about the camp and see if that's something that you want to invest a little bit in. But let's talk about you a little bit, all right? Let's talk about your journey, because I'm very interested. You're in Lagodi, Indiana. I don't even know if you knew that. I don't even know if you know what towns you're in most of the time.
I can quite literally, coming in and being there, but quite literally leave a town and go,
where was I?
Where was I?
Don't look back.
Yeah, because of the thousands of towns I've been in.
So this particular journey, where did you start? Where are you going to?
Okay, so honestly, so I'll share even a little bit about that. I've actually been out and have gone home 3 times.
In Virginia.
Yeah, in Virginia.
Okay.
I'm about 12 miles from the North Carolina state line, but it all even numbers. I started this journey March 10th of 2020. 9.5 months out to California and back, and went home, had some business to take care of, got some rest, came back out. I went home in 22, came back out, and went home in 24, and I made it to your town.
Where were you headed? What's next?
So what I'm doing now, I've been coast to coast, and what I'm doing as a police chief kind of coin. Yeah, you're crisscrossing the country, aren't you? So, yeah. So the interior of the country, I'm covering all areas, and I've been in states a couple times, sometimes, and intersecting some towns where I'm going one way on a route one time and a route another time. Hasn't been too many times that I've been in towns before, but I've intersected and walked into towns, more than once. I should have done it when I was over there, but I am headed to the northeast part of the country again, and I'm going to go cover 2 states I should have walked over into that first time, but I'm going to go visit Rhode Island and Delaware. all the other states over there I've been in.
Mhm.
And I won't be home until the middle of next year. So another even year, 2026. So, but
Okay, but again, your route. How do you determine your route? How did you come through Lagodi?
yeah, well, I lay it out on paper for the most part, and I follow an old-fashioned road atlas, and right now I'm out on 231, and just before Lafayette, where Purdue is, there, and just past Romney is State Road 28. And that's my next route change. I'll start going east, and I forget, without having everything in front of me, that next route change that'll, I'm trying to miss, when I get over there, I'm trying to miss Cincinnati. So I'm going to be going a little bit farther north and then east again, over all the way across, almost a straight shot without having to deal with big cities too, if I remember right, but then over into Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so you try to travel the less traveled roads, right? To be
Yes,
safe.
yes.
But do you get rides occasionally?
Yeah, I don't solicit rides,
But
I don't turn them
walking.
down.
Yeah.
I appreciate the rides, get off my feet for a while. And in 90, like I was asking about a place to set a tent up, 90% of the time I'm in a tent, 10% of the time I go to a motel. Sleep in a bed, take a shower, all the things that we take for granted when we're at home, we're able to do easily. There have been, I jokingly, well, when I do accept rides, it was a period of time before, since I had taken a shower, I'll jokingly share with, I'm really surprised you let me in your car, or I'm really surprised you let me in your truck. And, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been an extremely hot summer. So I know that has to play on you a little bit.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that in regards to heat? I mean, obviously you have to have provisions with you.
Yeah.
But an 80-pound backpack sounds like a lot, but it's not a car.
Yeah.
So you can't put everything in there.
Yeah, and I don't carry food, and I carry a couple bottles of water. But with this extreme heat this past year, I was coming across, for the most part, Mississippi, coming south, and then in Mississippi, and then coming east across from the Mississippi River through the Delta, which they talk about themselves being extremely hot when it's that time of the year, July and August. And that's when I was coming across Mississippi, most of that. And it was extremely hot. And I drink quart bottles of these Brisk brand, and they have, the tea and then orange flavored. And I just like drinking them, and they're a bigger bottle and they last quite a bit of the day. But I got used to drinking Powerades and Gatorades because of needing to be dehydrated, and the electrolytes from those. I got to, and they don't really taste all, sorry wherever you guys are, they don't really taste all that great. But that's what I was drinking to help me go along.
I mean, you have to eat somewhat healthy, right? But yet when you go into, all you're seeing is fast food places. Is that where you stop?
Yeah, for the most. I'd rather go to mom and pop places. I'd rather patronize mom and pop places. But yeah, no, I go to what I can get to, fast food restaurants, and sit down and eat. But yeah, I don't carry any food. Maybe a couple packages of crackers or something. But I have a floor pad that I stand straight up in my tent beside it, and the floor pad I can push things down inside. It holds all, quite a few, including a Canon digital camera. I got over 7,000 pictures taken out here. I left one memory card at home that had a ballpark around 4,000. I think this one has 3,500, 3,800 pictures on it now, and it holds 10,000. And this don't mean a whole lot, but I'm done I have 82 chapters of a book that I'm writing about my travels, and I actually shared with them some chapters. I wouldn't let them read too much though.
So it's not,
I'm going to send them
is it a book that's out?
not yet. No, well, matter of fact, no. As many chapters as I got written, it's probably going to be 2 books and possibly 3 books. I'm going to split it up because of how many chapters there are.
Mhm.
But I was sharing with them last night, and but I'm going to send them a personalized signed copy when it's, well, the first one's done. Probably all 3 of them. That way they can get a full understanding of what I've experienced out here. But I shared a bunch of chapters. I'll let them read a couple of them. I actually have shared with them more of that book than anybody else I've shared the book with, including this YouTube interview I did with a gentleman named Rick Mortimer, who owns a newspaper in Salyersville, Kentucky, and does this YouTube newscast since '98. I just, on this interview, he was taking video of me sitting at this computer, and I was showing him some of the chapters, but I kept on going through them pretty fast. I said, "You have to wait till the book comes out." And he laughed.
Mhm.
But,
Well, one question I'm sure everybody wonders, in this world of ours, you're walking, what issues have you had from anybody stopping and accosting you or yelling at you or anything at all like that?
not really any of that. I've met so many wonderful people out here. On my phone, I have about 60 or 70 people I stay in touch with. I just got a text from a couple I met. That I did a TV interview in Jonesboro, Arkansas. They texted me last night. I haven't answered them yet. I was waiting for them to wake up. They're up now. But no, it's all been very positive out here. On purpose, I've been to over 800 city halls and police departments. That way they know who I am, what I'm doing, and the question I'll ask, for the most part, is where can I set a tent up? And I've set up beside and behind police departments, city halls. I've actually slept inside police departments and city halls. Fire stations, same thing, outside, inside. Fire chiefs go, "We got beds inside, come on in." But parks, fairgrounds, and then what Brett did, him and his wife did for me last night, what I call hosting. They brought me inside instead of setting my tent up last night, and he had to carry that backpack all the way back over to the house. And it's a nice little walk, but I slept in a nice, comfortable bed, and we had coffee this morning, which I always look for. You know, because so much of the time I'm always out in the middle of nowhere, and I don't get to drink a cup of coffee. I don't get a chance to eat a breakfast sandwich or a plate of food. I've gone days without eating because of that.
You know, you mentioned stopping at city halls and police stations and letting them know what you're doing. That's wise, because I'm sure that there are people that call a police station over there. You might look for this strange looking guy carrying a backpack.
Yeah, that's
And
happened.
see what he's up to.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, you know, we kind of touched on it. You know, when you see somebody with a backpack going down the road, and kind of Brett touched on it, you know, you kind of wonder, what's this person's story?
Mhm.
Now, when people talk to me and they find out what I'm doing, their demeanor and their facial
Right.
expressions change. Then they understand.
Mhm.
I'm not homeless, far from it. But, you know, people have a better understanding. Some people don't understand.
Sure.
Why are you doing it the way you're doing it? Well, I'm reaching more people. And I didn't even know the cross. I had a gift for you. Had a gift. I'll make sure to get you one. I have a gift for you. I make out of as we all would call popsicle sticks. I pop off the rounded edges, glue them together, and I put scripture or scriptural things on them, over 200 different things on them, and I've handed out over 7,000 of them. And along with that, I've handed out over 600 Gideon's New Testaments as I've gone along. So doing what I'm doing for this camp, which is very important to me, I've been able to share the good news, the gospel, as I've gone along. And you think about how many crosses I've handed out, how many people's hands I've put those into and have met. That's a lot of people. And my hope, I hand them out to as many people as I can, believers, non-believers, that I hope that maybe that message, and I've had people say, this is exactly what I needed. You know, might be. I'll share real quick. Went to a motel, and the young lady that was checking me in, I handed her a cross with hope on it. When I go into a motel room, I usually don't come back out. You know, relax, get some rest, watch a little bit of TV. Left the next morning, turned around to close the door, and a note was taped on the door. It was from her, and this printout I gave her, she said she started to cry when she read about what I was doing, and that she really appreciated that cross that had hope on it. I wish, now she was I guess the girl who comes in, because it was about 3:30 in the afternoon, so she was probably the person who worked that shift. But I wish she would have been there that morning, because there was something going on with her. Maybe it was something about a family member or her kids, or going through a divorce and things with their kids, or maybe an illness. I have no idea, but I wish she would have been there that morning so I could sat down with her and talk to her about that. And that's some of what I've experienced. People say, this is exactly what I needed, what you gave me. So.
Steve, do you have any idea of any way of measuring the impact you've had to the camp, particularly financially?
Overall, I don't. But there's one instance that I was in Harmony, North Carolina, and met a couple, Dan and Marlene Hutchins, and they went to a Methodist church, Clarksbury Methodist Church, and I stayed over the weekend. They had a house across the street from their house, and I stayed over there. They just didn't have any room in their house. But anyway, 2 weeks after I left, Dan called me. He's one of the ones that I stay in touch with. And they were checking up on where I was and how I was doing. And talked to him for a couple of minutes. And then he says, Marlene wants to talk to you. Okay. What I found out, that she was the treasurer at the church. And she just wanted to share with me that 40 people who attend church, they sent in a donation to the camp. $1,231 they sent in. Now, I ended up quite a few months later, but I was talking to this gentleman, Mark Schumacher, on the phone, and I said to him, hey Mark, I got something for you. Harmony, North Carolina, I went to Clarksbury Methodist Church, and they sent in, and I didn't have to finish that sentence. So he must have been sitting at a computer, but he says, yeah, Steve, they sent in $1,231. So he must have been putting all that information in as I was sharing that with him. And he said to me, yeah, Steve, they sent in $1,230. So that's the one and only time. Well, and I'll share something else in reference to that, but I have no idea. There's a gentleman named Mark Seal, who is the data specialist there, that he actually records donations that come in. In this printout that I hand out, part of the interview, the gentleman called and was talking to somebody at the camp, probably Mark, but there's a comment from that interview that says that I am responsible for a lot of donations that have come in. Just recently, a couple of weeks ago, I was at a church and the pastor was sharing with the congregation about me and about the camp. And for the very first time, usually, I'll leave and maybe they'll, somebody, church or somebody will send a donation in because of what I'm doing. But he and the Sunday school teacher, she got up and shared a little bit more, and they asked the congregation, with the plate being sent around, to put together a donation with me there at the church.
Mhm.
And that was the first time. And I had no idea how much they, it's none of my business, in a sense. But I have no idea how much it would have been that they got together. But that was encouraging, that my efforts and what I was doing made an impact on them, the pastor, to want to do that. So I appreciated that.
Well, Steve, thank you very much for coming to our town, and Brett Robinson, Katie, for putting you up. And I'm sure you get that hospitality from time to time, right?
I do. Not as often as you would think, but,
Or as you would like.
when it happens, I very much appreciate it. And I love you as I love them more than I can express. And I appreciate you taking your time out to do this.
Happy to. VictoryJunction.org. It's the Victory Junction, a camp for children with chronic illnesses and special needs in North Carolina. So if you get a chance, go to the website, see what we're talking about, and if you're interested in giving them a little donation, all that information will be there. So good luck to you on your journey, Steve Young.
Thank you
All
again.
right. And Brett and Katie Robinson, thanks for bringing it to our attention. And we thank you for watching, and we hope it's been interesting, at least, for you to watch today. Thank you.